Hi, my name is David Wilson. Thanks for joining today. We're going to jump into talking about bank rules in Xero. So bank rules are a great way to make your life easier when reconciling monthly, especially if you have a bunch of reoccurring transactions. They make it a lot easier because all you have to do is just click and approve. So let me show you how to set them up. So the easiest way is to go click on reconcile, find a transaction that doesn't have a bank rule. This one does, and hit options, create bank rule. And then it's going to pull in whatever was on that bank rule screen. So a couple things to notice at the top here. This helps if you're. There's two different types. You can do all conditions or any conditions. So if you have multiple conditions, you can say this bank rule apply if any of these conditions match. So you could do payee or amount. Reference or analysis codes. Really, if you're looking at payee or you're trying to find a vendor name, you don't really need more than one. What you need to do is say, instead of payee, instead of looking this field, because sometimes bank imports change. Sometimes the banks change the way they do their feeds, and so sometimes the vendor isn't pulled into the payee anymore, or sometimes it's in the description. So the easiest way to do it is to do, if you're looking to do it on payee, is to do any text field. Change equals to contains, and then make sure it just holds the value of the vendor that would show up in the bank transaction. Sometimes it's not the full name, sometimes it's just a partial name. Make sure that's there, and then you're good to go. Then you come down here and you do the vendor. If they currently exist, you click the existing one, or you can create a new one on the spot. Then if you come down here, there's two ways to allocate the amount for these transactions. You can do it by dollar value. So say you get charged $150 per month from this vendor, but you want to split it out. So you come in here and say, this is for downtown office. Account is secure. I don't think I have security. We're gonna just do office expense. We're gonna say that is for the south, and that's $100. And this is the northeast office. Same expense category, but we're putting it to the West Coast. Oops. So that means that every transaction that comes in from them, $200 are going to get categorized here. And so if it is only $200 each time, then you're good to go. If it's not, then you probably want to come down here and add in office expense for either none or maybe the school programs, and then the rest will be there. And then you just save and you're good to go. And that's how I do most of my bank rules, because most of them are based on vendor. So we're just looking for the vendor name. We're not looking for anything else. And if you're just looking for vendor name, normally you're not going to allocate anything, because anything you spend on that vendor is going to go 100% in one category. And so you're going to just come down here and use this area down here. Normally you'll use this area, or you'll split it up by percentages if just percentages are normally if you have different programs. But if you have a specific dollar amount you want to categorize, then what you're going to do is you're going to get rid of that one. You're going to come up here and say all conditions. You're going to add a value amount, and you're going to say equals $200. And if you saw it put in an amount, because it's going to pull in, since we grabbed a bank transaction or created a code off of, it's going to pull in the amount on that bank transaction, but you don't have to use it. So we're categorizing $200 here, and so we're going to say any transaction that contains security and is $200, because we set all conditions, then we're going to categorize it this way. So we could save this one, and then we can come back here and you can see this. There's no bank rule applied here because this isn't $200. So we can create another one, and we can say, okay, in condition payee contains. We're going to change payee to any text field. These guys. And then we're going to say that is consulting, and that's always south, and save. So what you want to make sure, and now you can see that that one's applied. So what you want to make sure when you're doing multiple bank rules for the same vendor is that you have the order correct. So if you click on manage accounts on any bank accounts, you can go to bank rules. And you can see, okay, you've got these two bank rules. This one's for any text field. This one has any text field with Swanson security and one other condition. And so you want to make sure that they're in the right order. So if this one's first, then any transaction at all is always going to get applied with this first. And it's going to ignore this rule because this has two conditions, and so not all transactions are going to meet this one, but everyone's going to meet this one. So if this one's first, this rule is going to be ignored. So you want to make sure you have the more specific rule first. So if they're ordered correctly, that means any ones that have $200 going to get this applied, and then anyone that doesn't have $200 going to get this applied. Last thing I'll mention on bank rules, if you come down here at the bottom, you say add rule details. Under here, you say run this rule on just one checking account, saving account, so you can specify the account this rule applies to. So maybe you have this vendor and you pay them through couple different accounts or credit cards. You can have a different bank rule for each of those accounts, or you can say this vendor, no matter what, no matter where I spend the money, it's always going to be this way. And so you should do all bank accounts, and then you just name it and save. So that way, on any of bank accounts, it'll apply that rule, and that reduces the amount of bank rules you have to create, because then you've already got a list of bank rules that apply to all accounts, and then you can just have a couple specific ones as needed. So that's a quick overview of bank rules. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and thanks for your time.